Welcome to another episode of Down in the Blocks with Chris Young, the former Michigan center. Played in the late 1990s, early 2000s. Very connected with the Michigan basketball program. Very passionate with the Wolverines. I'm Tom Crawford. We've been doing this about 3 years, but this is going to be one of the more bizarro type of episodes of Down in the Blocks, as we're going to be going beyond the X's and O's of this roller coaster ride of Michigan basketball season. In particular, a unfortunate situation that happened up at the Kohl Center in Madison after the game. Greg Gard goes up to shake hands with Juwan Howard. We know the rest of it. We've probably seen the video, each of us 80, 90 times, maybe 100.
At least, yeah.
Different versions thereof. But Chris, we had some, we're good friends and we text and we share during games and things like that. We haven't talked since that first reaction. We're going on 46 hours now since this thing happened. Where are you at right now with how the thing came out in terms of penalties and suspensions and stuff? And where are you at right now? Maybe differently than you were 46 hours ago.
Yeah. So it took me a long time to process the situation. At first I was really angry. I was really disappointed in Juwan that it got to that level. And then after watching the video as much as you do and kind of getting more eyewitnesses, people that were literally standing there in the mix saying what really happened and what the whole incident was and why Juwan reacted the way that he did, and then why he reacted again the way that he did about, the Wisconsin assistant coaches putting his hands on his players and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I would have personally reacted that way, but I can't fault him. I can't fault Juwan for reacting like that. I think he did what he was supposed to do as far as, the second altercation that happened with the assistant coach coming up and defending his players. Because from everything that I've read and everything that I've seen, he put his hands on Terrence Williams and he was pushing guys out of the way and doing stuff that, okay, you do that to your team, you don't touch my guys. So right. I definitely understand that. The altercation with Gard, I put a lot of that on Greg Gard. I think he should have let Juwan keep walking. Juwan tried to keep walking. He doesn't have the right to stop him from walking and saying what he's going to say just in passing. He had no right to grab him. It's not one of his players. It's not one of his coaches. He doesn't have the right to grab another man and stop him from doing that. And, initially it looked like Juwan really kind of got into it and kind of grabbed his shirt a little bit and stuff like that. And then he looked like he backed off and it was like kind of like a back and forth. I think he was very surprised about the whole situation. But then, how it just constantly just snowballed and, this guy's pushing this and then we got guys throwing punches and all this kind of stuff. It's just, it's tough for Juwan to go into the locker room now and say, look, guys, you guys shouldn't throw punches. You guys shouldn't be hitting the other team and doing all that kind of stuff, because he had done it. Yes, he was sort of justified. And yes, they were all sort of justified, but it's just a chaos of a situation right now.
Yeah, I think that can be navigated. And we'll share some ideas on that in a second. But I want to get historically at your perspective, because I was thinking back of when this handshake line evolved in the Big Ten, because I think it was in your era. But I mean, mid 1990s, maybe late 1990s. You might have been right at the threshold of it. Did you start that your freshman year, or was that later on?
That was always something that we had done. It started in high school. That's always something you did. You went and shook the other coach's hand and shook the other team's hand, and we always
in a line like that. I mean, I remember in high school we kind of did it.
Yeah.
It was more hit or miss.
Oh, yeah.
And in a group like kind of like a football game is most of the time. I mean, not now. They're in the Big Ten. They're like, the refs are like guarding, escorting the teams out.
Yeah.
But I was just curious on that, because Tom Izzo went off on this a bit yesterday when it was posed to him, because he likes the handshake line.
Yeah.
I think it can be good. I'll tell you what, the most disingenuous handshake line coach of all time was a guy named Tom Crean, who would do the blow by speed shake. John Beilein wouldn't even look him in the eye.
Yeah.
He handled defeat so bad. And that's Juwan was pulling a Tom Crean on this situation.
Yep.
And yet, and then Greg Gard stopped him. I thought, I'll throw my, I thought the penalties were appropriate for Juwan and the players, all three players, although they got sucked into that. I felt bad for them. I think that Greg Gard get $10,000, or the school paid for it.
Yeah.
was ridiculous. And there's been a lot of people who I respect in high level media who played the game at highest level. You know, Jay Williams, that won on ESPN, thought that was ridiculous. Krabenhoff, that they I don't know if he's a GA or a coach, whatever, the former player, to get off scot-free on what he did, he's pushing players.
Yeah,
and he wasn't doing it in a playground, supervisory thing.
Yeah,
I shocked by that.
Yes,
totally shocked by that. So but I mean, it's something that we're gonna have to get beyond.
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of circle back, there's not a whole lot of things that I will say that I agree with Tom Izzo about, but what he said about the handshake line and all that, I 100% agree with, because that's one thing in college and as a pro, that's one thing I always did. You're going to get in line. If we got our teeth kicked in by 20, you're going to get in line. And you're going to shake that other team's hand, and you're going to show that you respect them. You respect the game. The other team's coach, you're going to respect them, and you're going to respect the game. And if you beat them by 20, you're going to be celebrating on the bench, but you're going to go through and shake their hand. That's how the game works. That's showing respect for your opponent, respect for the game.
Yeah.
But, like, to go to Tom Crean, I mean, you hear what's happening down with his staff in Georgia. I mean, he's got infighting between his staff members and guys suspended and all that. So he's like a whole nother monster. So
he's a bad coach. Bye Crean. You need to get out of basketball. You're not very good at it. So
regardless, Harbaugh's cut or brother-in-law. Whatever,
I don't even care about that.
Yeah, he's something else. But for the the assistant coach of Wisconsin to get off scot-free. No, okay, you don't have to fine him, but you suspend him a game or two or something like that, because he's a big dude. They say 6'6", 6'7", something like that, and he's putting his hands on guys and trying to move them. He's not playing around. He's trying to show, like, look, I'm bigger and tougher than you. And I'm trying to move people out of the way. Where he wasn't even really a part of the whole thing. He kind of
came in late.
He kind of came in, like, kind of bull rushed everything, like, hey, look how big and tough I am.
Right. So, he came in like a free safety, snuck in,
Exactly. Get that last second lick in there. Yeah. So I'm really disappointed that he didn't get anything. And I do have to say I agree with the penalties that, the fine for Juwan and him being suspended for the remainder of the season. And, Terrence Williams and Moussa Diabate, they thought they were stepping up and doing what they were supposed to do, but you throw a punch, you're suspended. That's how it goes. It's one game and we'll move past it. I'm just a little disappointed that Ward Manuel and the president of the university and the regents didn't really get ahead of this and come out and say, look, we looked at everything. And at noon yesterday, they didn't come out and say, here's our suspension. Regardless of what the Big Ten does, here's what our penalty is going to be. Right. And just totally get ahead of it instead of waiting around. And it was 6:30, 7 o'clock last night where it all kind of started to break, and they sat down with the Big Ten and talked about it, as opposed to just saying, look, no, here's our rules, here's what we're going to do. And I thought that was a very much a shortcoming on Ward's part and on the athletic department's part about not just handling this.
Well, then Wisconsin takes absolutely not one lick iota of accountability on any aspect.
Yep.
I thought was, I don't like Wisconsin, and I don't like the state of Wisconsin. Now you times 10 now on that for me.
Yep. But I understand the AD at Wisconsin. He's sticking up for his coach, and we want to concentrate on winning the Big Ten and blah, 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 blah. But you still have to say, look, okay, they handled it worse, but we didn't handle it in the exact professional way either. And, the school paying the fine, I think that's just, I got to agree with Jay Will and everybody else that said something that's just not the way you do it. Right.
So my point is, or my question I have, navigating forward, you've got these monstrous 5 games, 2 games where you don't, you have 2 relevant players, one in particular, Moussa Diabate, a starter, T. Will playing quite a bit. Rutgers, a big team, a big center. Boy, if they could just get, I say get by that, then they got Illinois with Kofi Coburn, and, Corbella coming into town. Where do you see these 5 games? And you have a lot of respect for Phil Martell. You've had conversations with him.
Yes, absolutely.
Like he knows you. He I mean, it's amazing. Yes. This guy, and I've listened to him in a media scrum, and he's unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not worried about him coaching, but
no, not at all.
It's still an adjustment. And where do you see these 5 games go, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a little bit of an adjustment for the guys, but I guarantee you they got into practice yesterday, and they already had kind of an idea that Juwan wasn't going to be around for whatever length of time. And I guarantee you they didn't miss a beat. It's not like, Martelli came in and switched up the whole practice plan, and all of a sudden tomorrow they're going to be doing different things on ball screens and like scrapping the entire offense and defense. Martelli's the associate head coach. It's going to be a pretty seamless transition. All the players know him and respect him. So I'm not concerned about how that's going to go. The thing that I was thinking about, and we started a pretty large group chat, about 20 of us, that's got a bunch of former players, really big name guys from the last 30 years in it. We've all been chiming in, and kind of the consensus was this might be the thing that galvanizes this team.
I was going to ask
this
that
might
question.
be a rallying call. Like,
yep.
Look, we've been all over SportsCenter. We've been all over all the talking heads for the last 46 hours, and it's all been negative. Let's use this. Let's turn this into a positive, because for the last couple of days, you haven't been able to turn around, and whether it's social media or whatever, and it's all Michigan this and Juwan that, and let's use this. Let's push past these 5 games. Let's win 4 out of 5 of them. Let's win 5 out of 5 of them. Carry our coach, and then we get into the Big Ten tournament. Let's do something. Let's get into the tournament.
Well, yeah,
I think this could really be a solidifying thing for this team.
It could be, and there's been a couple of moments in Michigan basketball history when Frieder getting shown the door after he resigned early. Both said and then Fisher took him 6 games in the national championship. Then that plane mishap.
Yep.
Rolled out the runway. I think I'm trying to think if that was a 17 season.
16 or 17, yeah.
Yeah, 16 or 17. So they can have those moments, but I want to get your perspective as a former player at the college basketball level when you're talking about galvanizing and emotion and things like that. This is where I think it's a little bit different in football. I mean, football is like this aggression sport where you can use adrenaline, testosterone, all that stuff. And to get you through something challenging. But basketball is a little bit different in my estimation. There's more execution or precision involved. How do you channel that motivation where you're still doing what you're supposed to do and doing a better job at what you're doing?
Well, there's going to be a lot of aggression coming out tomorrow night. There's going to be a lot of guys out there.
But is that a good? How do you make it good aggression?
It is. You're two of your guys down. You're one starter down. You're a rotation guy down. You're missing your coach. So there's going to be a lot of emotion. Those first 5 minutes, there's going to be a lot of emotion in that game. And it's a matter of getting it focused and making sure that it's a good type.
Is it rebounding? Is it 50-50 balls? It's 50-50 balls.
It's 50-50 balls.
It's
all of the little detail stuff because everything else is already in place. You already know these guys can rebound and they can play and they can do this and they can do that. Now without Musa, they've all got to step up and do just a little bit more because the way he's been playing, I mean, he's just been taking steps and taking steps. Okay,
he went back.
The Wisconsin game is kind of like secondary compared to what happened afterwards, but kind of took a step back. But I mean, the way he played at Iowa, I mean, he looked like a first-round draft pick.
No,
he looked as good as anybody in the country. So, guys are going to have to step up to fill those roles. Brandon Johnson's going to have to step up. Jared Falls is going to have to step up. He's going to have to play tomorrow. We're going to have to get guys in the rotation that aren't used to being in the rotation as much.
Yeah.
And
Jace Howard's going to have to.
Jace Howard's going to have to come out and play. I mean, Kobe Buckland's going to have to come out and make shots. I mean, there's got to be guys that pick up the slack for the 10, 12 points and the 6 or 7 rebounds that we're missing now. Yeah. So it's possible.
But
it's just a matter of getting it focused in the right way.
So the 50-50 balls, rebounding, focus on execution, those are all byproducts of adrenaline and determination. And Hunter Dickinson's
it's just will. It's just will.
But it's hot. You can't steer a shot to go in better based on adrenaline. I mean, you still have to execute, and this is where my God, Chris, this perimeter stuff is killing me. I mean, 4 of 25 from beyond the arc.
And 4 of 20 against Iowa before that in a game where they put up 84 points and they were 4 for 25.
Yeah, 4 of 25. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they. I don't care how hard you try.
Yeah.
If you can't make the ball go in, doesn't matter.
Yeah. The only saving grace is that we've got 4 games coming up at home. Maybe the rims.
But they don't even shoot well at home. I mean, they didn't shoot well against Ohio State.
I'm trying to look for silver linings in things. Like, okay, these last 2 were tough games on the road, hostile environment. So maybe the ball is just not falling. I'm trying to. I'm grasping at straws here. I'm really trying to find something. I'm just hoping that Caleb Houston gets it figured out. That first shot goes in. That first kick out that he gets from Hunter Dickinson. He knocks down that shot. Eli Brooks is going to make a couple. Devontae Jones is going to take a couple. He might make a couple. He might not. It's just a matter of the really small things at this point.
Okay, so I in a conversation I had with Johnny Johnson, he was a little bit before you, Johnny Johnson, former Michigan basketball player. It's almost like it wasn't a cut your losses declaration. It was like with Caleb Houston, look, we're giving the kid 32, 34 minutes. He's getting, 2 of 9, 4 of 15, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 points, maybe 8 points, maybe 5, maybe 9 rebounds someday, but maybe 3 rebounds. And just there's too many little digits on that score sheet.
Yep.
And why not? I mean, we're kind of mystified by how this kid, and he's a great kid, I'm not denying that, but gets so much time and patience. I mean, with Kobe Buffkin, it's almost like, what do you got to lose to let somebody like him or somebody else see if they can shine? Because it's not working. It's working every 5th game with Caleb Houston, Chris.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But, the coaches see these guys and know them better than anybody could possibly just watch them in warmups and during the games. They obviously see something in Kobe Buffkin that shows that he's not ready to step into that role, or that they're not ready to plug Jace into that role, or put Terrence Williams more into that role, or something. There's something missing in all those guys that they're just not bringing what the potential is that Caleb Houston could bring. And he didn't have a great shooting night at Wisconsin. He's 2 for 10, but he had 10 rebounds because he's 6'6", 6'7". So we finally got in there and used some of his size and got some rebounds. So he contributed that way. And it's just a matter of him figuring out, how do I contribute to justify playing 35 plus minutes a game?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, if this continues, guys, the media and everybody, all the fan base is going to be calling for his head at some point, because it's like, that's enough, man. Like, you're supposed to be this 5-star. We're seeing all these other 5 stars all over the country blow up, and you're just not.
Let me ask you this question, and I'm not being accusatory of Juwan of doing this, but I'm just going to throw out the question. Maybe it's rhetorical, but when you sign a 5-star from a certain academy or whatever, is there like an expectation that you better play that kid, or the next kid's not going to want to follow that kid? Or do you think there's any relevance to that or not?
There's a little bit to that, but I think that was more prevalent, 20, 25 years ago when I was coming out, because you couldn't see, you couldn't watch every game. You couldn't communicate with the coach as much and as easy as you could communicate with them now. Now these 5-star kids, they know exactly what the guy in the spot ahead of them is doing, whether they're playing or shouldn't be playing. And they're thinking, oh, well, the 5-star kid that I played with last year that went to Michigan, well, yeah, he's playing, but he's not playing well. If I go there, I'm taking his spot and I'm taking his minutes.
Yeah.
And that's how they think now. It's not like, oh, well, I don't know really what he's doing, and why is he not playing, or why is he not doing this or that? So I don't really think there's a whole lot of, the kids won't follow. I mean, there's plenty of 5-star kids out there that just don't pan out the first couple of years, and then eventually they get good. So it's not. I
did not anticipate this coming with Caleb Houston.
No, not at all. Not at all. I expected this more with Moussa Diabate than I did with.
Oh, absolutely. Where that quote unquote project tag we threw at him a little bit.
Oh, he's too light. He's only been playing basketball for a couple of years. He hasn't hit the weights hard enough. He's going to get pushed around in the Big Ten, and he's figuring it out every game. And Caleb Houston's out there looking like a deer in headlights.
Okay, so Chris, you go down to most of the games. Are you going to go to the Rutgers game?
Yeah, I'm going to go down there tomorrow.
Okay, so is Illinois? That's the reunion game, right? When all the players come back.
It was going to be, but it unfortunately got canceled because of all the COVID stuff.
Really?
Yeah. We got the email about 3-4 weeks ago, something like that, from Lisa over in the basketball office that
I didn't know
they canceled that. Yep.
So it had nothing to. So I was thinking. Here's the reason I brought this up was this.
Okay.
I'm thinking, oh God, here you got the reunion, all the players coming back, and Juwan's not even going to be there. Yeah. I mean, I thought, how awkward is this going to be?
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure he still would have normally for the reunion, we have an event on Saturday night at a place in town, and then the game on Sunday. I'm sure he would have been there had we had the event and stuff like that. But, they said with all the COVID things still going on, they couldn't guarantee social distance and all that kind of stuff. So they just said they'd push it till next year. So
because you didn't have it last year.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years since we've had it. Fortunately, a bunch of us alumni kind of put together an unofficial reunion. We do a golf outing every summer. So we
Well,
still
that's
got that
cool.
coming up the end of July. But
All right. Well, that's great. So
yeah,
I think that's important. And anytime when I talk to a former player, I always get that perspective that it's really been good in terms of alumni relationship, and they
oh yeah,
gave Beeline a lot of credit for that.
oh yeah, yeah. Beeline's
And
really the one that started it for sure.
I mean, really ignited it.
Yes. Yep.
And then Juwan's done a good job maintaining it,
Yes.
one more question before I let you go, Chris. I mean, when you talked, on this thread, there's been some accusations that Michigan's like a cult. They all think alike. They all, Juwan did no wrong. I mean, what was your pulse on the reaction to your fellow former players of what transpired with Juwan and what should be done? Did you get any feedback of
Yeah, oh,
concrete?
yeah.
I mean,
There was tons of feedback,
was
and
it consistent or
it
was it
was
all over the
very
place?
consistent. I definitely, and the text that I sent you
Yeah,
right after it all happened, I was very knee jerk in that, and I was
yeah,
like,
you were.
I was the one like standout of the whole group that
You
kind
were.
of thought that way.
You were upset. You were very upset.
I was angry. I was very, very angry, and talking with them and talking with other people and watching videos and seeing how guys that I respect in the media and other coaches around the country chiming in on it and listening to it. I really changed my perspective on it. But the 18 other guys that are in this group chat, and it's all, like I said, I'm not gonna start dropping names, but it's very high level former players, former managers, former this and that guys that I really have a lot of respect for. It's consistent across the board that we
Well,
all stand with coach.
what's the consistent verdict that the 5 games is appropriate?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it's an appropriate thing. The fine is appropriate.
Right.
Anything more than that would have been extreme
Yeah.
given the situation. Had it been a different situation where, Juwan literally just takes a swing at somebody unprovoked or something like that, then everyone's story, I think, would have been totally different. But
Okay.
knowing the situation and knowing how Juwan is and how the culture is around basketball, I think everyone was, it's not ideal. It's not the dream scenario coming into the last week of February, trying to make a push to make the tournament. But this is what needed to happen because these things have got to get nipped in the butt because there was already the issue last year with Turgeon at Maryland.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't want this to kind of keep
Well,
snowballing into, potentially more issues.
I think that the defining moment. I don't think he's. I mean, it's gonna. He's gonna be probably extra guarded
Oh,
on
yeah,
that,
sure.
and I'm sure he'll get a lot of support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So one final question for you. Okay, because the Rutgers game, we know the challenges of that. And
Yes.
before we do our next podcast, we'll be doing it Monday, following the Illinois game. Can you break down the Illinois game of chances they're up? Busa Diabate and Terrence Williams will be back in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Martelli, game number 2 as the interim coach.
Yeah.
As associate head coach, stepping coach. I mean, how do you see that matchup?
I mean, I like the matchup with Illinois. I think we match up very well with them. I like Hunter playing against Kofi Cockburn. I think that's a good matchup for us. But Illinois plays very hard. Every possession they're diving on the floor. They're going after everything.
Yep.
They're pressure defense. They're going to foul you 3 times every time you go to the basket. And the refs might call one, or they might not call anything. So can we play through the contact? Can we play through the non-calls and get a win? But a lot of the tone is going to be set tomorrow night. And it's how we handle this Rutgers team because I still don't know for sure if Ron Harper Jr. is playing or not. I know he's got the hand injury and all that. So that's going to be a big thing. But if we can take care of business with Rutgers, I feel a lot more confident going into Illinois. If we stumble against Rutgers or if we come out and play flat and it's a 52-50 game that we lose, then it's like, oh, man, we might be in trouble against Illinois.
Well, it's a very fragile environment right now in Michigan basketball.
Yes,
and like I said, I like the galvanizing, theory that you and your former players are trying to, project will happen.
Yes.
But let's make sure you slap that galvanizing material on there nice and nice and thick.
For sure. Yeah, we just don't want it galvanizing for one game and then let's get back to kind of the way it's been. Let's get a good push here and knock out these 5 games, make some noise in the Big Ten tournament, and then we'll be off the bubble. We'll be solidly into the tournament because I'm tired of, one, I'm tired of seeing all the video of what happened after the game, and then 2, I'm tired of seeing we're the next 4 out or the next 4 after the next 4 out and all this kind of stuff. It's like we're too talented of a team to be messing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that the ride is smoother this back half of the season. It's still going to have some roller coaster ride in terms of theatrics, obviously, and
Yes.
drama. I can't imagine the reception of Michigan basketball team is going to get down in Indy at Bainbridge Fieldhouse. They used to call it Bankers Life. That's going to be. And what if Michigan plays Wisconsin?
Oh yeah.
Wow, that will
Yeah.
be crazy. That
Yeah,
will be
well,
made
and
for TV.
I'm already looking right now. I'm trying to get tickets to go to the Michigan Wisconsin game next year up in Madison because I just want to be there just to see what that environment's like because that's going to be just absolutely nuts up there.
Even if they, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever, Michigan doesn't play Wisconsin in football regular season next year, and they're in the West Division, Michigan's in the East. But
Yep.
maybe they might meet in Indianapolis in the Big Ten championship. It's
Yep.
going to be a cemented, heated.
Yeah, because
this
this is not going away. This
is not going to go away
next year.
anytime soon.
This could be a 5 or 10 year thing. Once all the players are gone, and it's just Juwan and Guard are the only 2 staff members left, and this is still going to be a thing for a long time.
Yeah, the saying goes, "Film does not lie."
Yes, for sure.
All right, CY, you brought it strong as you always did in the pivot for the Wolverines. Until next time on Down the Blocks with Chris Young and the Crawford Podcasting Network. We'll see you, Chris.
Thanks, Tom.